that you're here. This is the first of 7-part series called the Blue Tech Talks, where we will feature a different founder or leader of a blue tech company to learn about the exciting innovations going on in the blue tech space. So this is our first one. There are going to be 7 of them. It goes through August 21st. So it's casual, obviously lunch and learn. So bring your lunch, bring a coffee, bring nothing, whatever, just bring yourselves. But we're really glad you made time for this. But it is tight. It's an hour. So without further ado, I want to introduce Courtney Hunter from People's Credit Union. People's Credit Union is the sponsor for the whole series. Yeah. She's going to say a few reasons of why they have to be the sponsor, and then I'll introduce you to our first speaker.
Yeah. Thank you for coming here today, and if you're enjoying yourself, come again and spread the word. We're so pleased to be the sponsor of the Blue Tech Forum here at Innovate Newport, which is where all the magic happens. I'm going to quote Sean Daly, who could be here today because he's the head of People's Credit Union. So from our founding, People's Credit Union has had a deep connection to the maritime industry, helping to highlight sustainable innovation across emerging markets in Rhode Island and beyond, aligns with our purpose to be a catalyst for positive change in the community. So I thank you for being here, and I thank you guys for being here, for your curiosity, your commitment to our beautiful blue ocean and planet. So enjoy what you have to do.
Thank you, Courtney. And my name is Molly Williams, and my role is Director of Innovation and Entrepreneurship. So my role is to support entrepreneurship through programming and events. So this is just one of the programs that we offer. So without further ado, I'd love to introduce Sue Van Hook with MycoBouys. Can't wait for you to learn about this. I met her last fall in Florida at an international pitch competition, and she had such a dynamic presentation and product, and I'm thrilled that you made time to be here. She's coming from upstate New York. Welcome, Sue.
Just a quick little bit about my background. I grew up on an island in Maine in the summers with my grandparents, and I'm very, very deeply connected to the ocean as my soul space. So that's where all this bubbles out of. Spent time in land conservation, working for the Nature Conservancy, National Reserve in Northern California, worked for Nature's Heritage Trust, property along the coast of Maine here for about 5 years. And then I migrated to New York State and worked to taught at Skidmore College for 18 years in biology and environmental science. But all along this path, I've had a passion for fungi. Over 50 years of experience with fungi. And I even call myself a mushroom whisperer. So I go into the woods and let them talk to me. And the most exciting part of that journey has been when I found 2 recent graduates from Rensselaer Tech Institute that started this company called EcoVative, Ecology and Innovative, together, EcoVative, in 2007. And they were trying to make a mushroom insulation board using fungi, and at the time they were using flour and water, but we changed that very quickly. So I called them up and said, hey, you give me a little mushroom experience, a little expertise. So we partnered right early from the beginning, and I was the mycologist there for about 10 years. Part of that journey was to explore the buoyancy of the fungi. And in that whole journey, we were going out in the woods and listening to what the fungi were going to tell us about the properties that they have. Because mycology to this point has just been about naming the damn things, right? We still haven't got anywhere close to naming the over 3 million species of fungi on the planet. Very few people have looked at the properties of the material until you get engineers involved. And they think with beginner's mind about the resiliency of this material, the cells of fungi. So that's me, and I'd love to know why you're here today. Just a quick go around the room of your name and maybe why you're here, and then we'll get started. Would you like to start, Anson?
Sure. Anson Stookie, and I am just always interested in whatever Innovate Newport has going on, but this one looks particularly interesting.
Good morning. Lovely to meet you again. And my name is Azure Sigler, and I have a kelp and an oyster farm pretty much down the road, Portsmouth, and I'm very excited to have all of my buoys be Susan's buoys at some point. So I think that's just our responsibility as ocean farmers to be as responsible as we possibly can and support innovations like this. So.
Hi everyone, Toby Stapleton. I'm the director of the Blue Venture Forum. We're based here at Innovate Newport. I'm I'm here because Molly always puts great events together, especially around blue, but I'm also here because on November 13th in Portland, Maine, we hold our semi-annual Blue Venture Investment Summit, and we're doing it again. And if you're looking for investors, it might be a good place to pitch the company. So I'm interested to hear, because that ecosystem is very much sort of geared towards these type of things. So definitely interested in hearing more about the product.
Thank you. You must know Bobby a lot.
Of course, yeah. We have 2 people signed up. Bobby was the first, so.
She's not my class.
Yeah, my instructor was in the process of retiring many decades in the ocean engineering world. Primarily, I was a software developer in that world. My degrees were naval architecture, marine engineering, and ocean engineering. And we did a lot of seafloor mapping, and a lot of search and recovery and console operations. We found, when I was a graduate student, the Revolutionary Warship in Maine. Stockton Springs Harbor.
All right, all right.
Sean Hawkins, nice to meet everyone. I'm with Ingenuity Partners. We're an engineering firm that specializes in solving challenges in harsh environment and maritime space.
Hi, thank you for being here. My name is Nikki Ewan, and I support women founders as they do the work they do. And I saw you call yourself Foundress. On top of being a very wonderful, amazing idea, powerful idea, I just wanted to be here.
Hi, my name is Pete Melanson. I'm with AIS. I'm our professional and technical services manager. I have a master's in oceanography and an MBA, and I'm just really interested in sort of what the blue tech space is about.
Hi, I'm Pat Sabatino. I'm a multi-time entrepreneur and a veteran of the Rhode Island startup ecosystem. I'm currently, as of last week, with RILA, working with Annette Conti over there, and I'm the event co-chair for the Newport Investor Summit. We have a blue track that we will be running, blue tech track for showcasing 12 blue tech startups for the 70 or so VCs that will be in attendance. So I found the whole series to be very interesting.
Great.
I'm Sean McKenzie. I'm a sustainability consultant for corporations. I live right around the street, so this is super convenient. Fairly new to Newport, so trying to get into the community and just meet people and explore new products.
Hi, you want to introduce yourself? You
Hi.
just stepped
Yes.
down.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Finley. I'm with the Alzheimer's Association. I'm in the development department, so we have our big fundraising event, Locked in Alzheimer's in Newport, coming up in September. So I'm just here to be part of the community, meet people in the community, and invite you to participate.
Right, we can talk about the right fund time for Alzheimer's soon. Okay.
My name's Will Tuthill. I'm here just as a spectator, but then since I wrote for Newport, our Daily News for 9 years on a weekly column, I have a connection to Newport this week, and I'm sitting here listening to this, and I'm going to be running around afterwards going, what's your last name? What's your name again, and the name of your company? And I'll jot it all down, see if they want to do a little something about the whole series. Maybe yes, maybe no.
No one was interested.
These are also my friends.
I know,
Green Tunnel, and we met, how many, 9 years ago, Rosario Project for a Clean Ocean, I don't know if you guys have heard of that, and our daughter Annie is now the social media director. So you worked with her, you did a whole week?
I was 3 weeks on the boat with her.
Yeah, so 3 weeks on American Promise, the 60-foot boat that went around the world, and they do big cleanups all over on the coast of Maine. They were just up on Rogue Island, plastic, fishing, detritus. Oh, but anyway, this is the Rosario Project thing. Yeah.
Todd McGuire, I know Rachel in the
Yeah,
Project, right? Ecovative, right?
Yeah.
So in the previous iteration of the organization, and I'm just interested to hear how the organization has changed. I was looking for solutions for the ocean.
Brian Darcy, I'm with the Rhode Island Marine Trade Association, representing the recreational boating industry of Rhode Island. Our office is right upstairs here, so the commute was easy, but Molly's been talking about you, so she made it for it.
For anyone new that just walked in, my name is Courtney Hunter. I'm head of community development for People's Credit Union, who is sponsoring this series. Happily.
Thank you all for being here. This was great.
This is where the magic happens. This is my favorite. I mean, I can't wait for presentation. This is one of my favorite parts because look who's here, you know, from different, representing different organizations, and it's really great. So thank you. Stay connected, follow up afterwards, take your time to continue those actions.
And I have the list one.
Oh, thanks. Good.
Yeah, so I wanted to pause for a moment because here we are starting a Blue Tech series. That indicates high-level, complicated engineering, scaled-up solutions. And I want you to really study this picture because this is pretty low tech. This is low tech Blue Tech. The way this came about was I was happily retired after working on buoys from 2011 to 2016 and working with chemical companies to try to find some environmentally compatible coating that would waterproof the material. So that dead ended for me, and I was turning 62 and having lots of grandchildren to be born, so I decided to leave Ecovative at the time. And but buoys have always been my passion. So if you look at these 4 buoys, I got called out of retirement by a cold call from a woman named Severin Monshiner Fleming. Some of you might know her. She is an amazing entrepreneur in her own right, but has started an agrarian trust movement to teach young people how to farm, and also has Smithering Farm way down in Pembroke, Maine, almost to East. So she invited me up there as a new oyster farmer to grow mushroom oyster in a workshop. I said, yeah, I can come up to a workshop for 2 weekends, no problem, that'll be fun. And so did that. We grew these cylinders, and they're completely uncoated, raw, not sanded, nothing. Put them out there, and they floated their oyster farm cages for the 5 requisite months of the season in Maine, okay, so June to November. At which point we went, oh, that worked, okay. Now what? So we wrote another grant. She had one previous grant working with Abby Barrows on getting plastics out of oyster aquaculture. Abby, you may know from, she's a marine plastics researcher and was involved with Josiah too on a sampling microplastics all the way from the headwaters of the Hudson River all the way down to New York and all the way up on the Sound the next summer after Annie and I went boat. So I went up there and taught this, and this worked until we got the grant. So I'm in the 2nd year of trying to prove this technology so that it can be adopted by aquaculturists and other interesting people in the ocean. I want you to memorize that picture because you can see all the beautiful biofouling that's happening on the lower surface. Okay? We'll talk about that later. Okay, so where this all started was as a kid, I watched my grandfather turn his own buoys on the lathe in the shop, about 5 hours. Right? And we got to all prime them and paint them and hook them out of the water. We all went lobstering together back in the day. This is the North Haven Historical Museum where some of those buoys rest. So I have my own grandfather's still. And then we watched the whole ocean turn to styrofoam. Right? And styrofoam seemed like a great solution. Right? Lightweight, easy to haul, easy to bang around the boat, gonna last forever. Right? And so we now know the consequences of that as the polystyrene carcinogen, pollution in the ocean, and the fragmentation of those pieces that never really go away, bioaccumulate. In Asia, it's a much bigger problem, believe it or not. So in Korea and Japan, people I've been working with there, they farm the sea because there's not a lot of land, right? The land is very mountainous. So these are hectares and hectares and hectares of these large 65-liter buoys that support long ropes of oysters. Right? So they're growing in deep water, and these buoys are made of styrofoam pellets, and the minute they get launched, the birds land on them, and those little pellets just start to disintegrate. The soils in the Korean and Japanese shoreline are 2 meters deep with styrofoam pellets. So this has been accumulating over a long time, and there's a lot of research tracing the polystyrene molecule using staining technology through the food chain from the zooplankton all the way up to the fish that they're growing, and showing it's a massive problem. So they contacted me in 2014 as a promising solution. We did documentary film that won Best Documentary in Korea at that time. And here's what we use in the East Coast of the United States for right now. It's pretty much polyethylene plastic, also chemically not stable in sunlight and begins to shed molecules of poison, toxin, into the water. And here we are growing our food in them, right? So we have the mesh bags with the pontoon floats on either side, and then up in the upper left corner, the ocean, called an oyster farm, really, with a large cage that can accommodate 4 of these bags with the oyster advantages to this. Obviously, those punctions can be, there's screw capsule nose on the end, right there. And some of these also have them, some don't. Where the pontoons can be filled with water and sink the cages for the winter because we have to sink the oysters if it's too cold at the surface. So there are some advantages there that I can't replicate, but I have a different proposal. Okay, so the solution is simple. We take any agricultural byproduct, and I tested about 12 of them a decade ago, and the one that won was hemp. Okay, we know hemp has a marine history of being used for the sails and the caulking and the lines on the schooners way back in the colonial days. And so it came to the surface again as the most marine-resistant fiber. And we combine it, we feed it to fungal mycelium, which here you see growing on a petri dish. Okay? A little bit more about me and how I operate is that petri dish right there is a total spiritual message to me. Right? If you know anything about microbiology, you put a piece of tissue of whatever you're cloning in the center of the nutrient auger, and it grows out radially in all directions because there's food in all directions, and that's, you get a circle. Right? If you look at any of the some fantastic fungi movie, if you watch that, you'll see that time-lapse of pottery over and over and over again in that movie. Okay, but not this dish. And so there's the piece of material I put in the middle, and it kind of grew this very, very elaborate shape, which to me, anybody see what that shape looks like to them? There's spiral in there, but there's something more. Think about riding a bicycle. No, the lock, right? It's a padlock, right? There's the handle, there's where you put the key in down here. And for the fact that the fungus made all those spaces with no growth in them, it's like, it just doesn't happen. It just doesn't happen that way. So the day this appeared, when I was checking cultures in the lab, I was like ecstatic. I'm like, I got a crop circle on a petri dish. In addition to the crop circle in June 24th of 2009, which was a mushroom crop circle laid down in England, that said to us, you're on the right path, use the fungi. Okay, so putting this all together, and I was like, okay, I got to go forward with this. So you feed pasteurized hemp to a fungal inoculation of fungal mycelium at a very low percentage rate. We got it down from 3% down to 1% over time. And then you put it in a shape, and any shape will do. There are some restrictions about the shape for aeration purposes, but then it grows over a matter of 5 days in that shape. You pop it out, you put it in a humidity environment, high humidity environment, a tent, and let it skin over on the other side, and then you get complete fungal tissue on the outside, forming its own waterproof barrier, which lasts, as we said, for the 5 months, pretty much. Come back to the map. Wherever you are. Yeah. Okay, so here's what I just described. So last year we had failure because I had to substitute different companies' material, and just lots of things were changed, and that substitution didn't work. But there's the 8,000 pounds of substrate. Yeah, this is just right. 8,000 pounds of substrate that we imported from the Netherlands. These are stored in my coolers. I rented an old deli space this year. 6-minute walk from my house, very convenient. And then the tooling I had made at the University of Maine Searle Lab in Portland, because we did makeshift tooling the year before, which was not so fun. And you put it in your tool with a lid, grow it for the 5 days, pop it out there, put it in a tent, which is the upper left, let it skin over, and then you're ready to dry the material. We did mostly solar drying, but you can accelerate that with oven convection oven drying, which will actually kill them. Okay, so after that 5 days of growth, you get a nice, beautiful skin on the upper surface here, and then this is after it's been skinned over on the other side. So this is the rectangular shape that we developed for these cedar crates being used by an oyster farmer in Maine to try to get all the plastic out of this operation. And we're also using these shapes right now as eelgrass restoration planters. So we're planting eelgrass into these rafts and trying to secure them to the bottom to help prolong the germination process of the eelgrass. Oh, one thing else I want to show you. On the bottom side, I'm just showing the hydrophobicity of the fungal tissue with the water droplets. So the water droplets just feed right up and roll around. And a good 2 days, if they're constantly submerged in water, in the ocean where it's floating high, you've got all that surface that's not exposed to the water, right? And I think there's actually evaporation coming in from the bottom and moving through the void space in here. We've got a lot of void space that the fungus creates in there, and then evaporating off the top. I haven't tested that yet, though. Okay, so early prototypes. This weather buoy here was a project in 2010 with NOAA. Incubator had a grant with the DART program that was launching tsunami detection, climate change detection, large buoys off of ships. They were using a styrofoam ring to push it off and cushion the fall, and then not retrieving those styrofoam rings. So they came to us, can you design something that will break apart, will cushion, and then break apart and go away? And so these are 8 pieces that are trapezoidal that have positive negative end and just snap together on the deck of the ship, survive the fall, and then broke apart in 5 months. So they did that original research on a 5-month period. And then the next ones were the ones I grew in a soda bottle and took that up to the Department of Marine Resources Council meeting in Maine and showed it to all the lobstermen back in 2011 and 12. And then started prototyping with smaller shapes, just sort of save material over here on this last slide. And then this is my most recent one that I grew in my bathtub 2 winters ago. Just hardware cloth and grew the rope right into it. So that's the other beauty about the rope attachment is you'll see in all of these, the fungus just grows to the rope, right? It's just natural manila rope, and the fungus is going to digest that and hold onto it and weave it together too. So it's all part of the product. And we'll see, that one's big, called Big Red. It's up in Beals, Maine right now. So here's just what we did last year and the year before was teaching a workshop. We were mixing this stuff out on a windy day outside in a couple where I've been and had no contamination, had no problems at all. And I'm like, that's the mushroom goddesses raining down and us saying, thou shalt succeed in this process. That goes way back to the origin story of Incubator, where they grew the first insulation boards under their bed in a frat house, and there was no mold contamination. And I knew the mushroom goddesses had blessed that. Anyway, so that worked beautifully, and then we went on to grow the rectangular shape, the upper right cedar crates. They only have to float the crate during the flip cycle, which is every 2 weeks to get rid of the biofouling on the bottom, and then go back up and dry out again. So those have lasted for 2 years, and even stored them out in the woods for the spruces all winter on the ground. These other ones were beautiful when we deployed them, and then they fell apart right away. That's because we had to substitute the material. So things got a little bit better. That's the first year. Those are Adam's crepes, which, you know, is another really lovely solution for getting all the plastic out of the operation, although you've got cedar harvesting is an issue there. And then these were some of the other early prototypes. These were for Addie Barrow's farm, where her husband fabricated these aluminum farms to design for the cylindrical buoys, which are hollow. And I'd love for you to feel the one hollow one I have up here. It's extremely light. And we can mess around with fungi and how they fit together and grow themselves back together with some end caps added. And there's Big Red that's been floating for 9 months up in Beals at the Down East Institute. And here's what Big Red looks like now, 9 months later. Still floating, a little bit of whatever, I don't know what's on the surface there. Could be algae, could be fungi. But she's still holding up the line. And then this winter, as I said, with much better space, much better tooling. Clive have been working with me. And lots of different shapes for different applications. So the bottle shape buoys that we literally grew high school students. It's a great high school. I've done this at like 6 schools so far. It's a great student science project. You just get 3 liter soda bottles, cut the end off, and then put the rope through it and fill it up with a yogurt lid to seal in the moisture. So these are floating the spat lines in Nantucket at the Marine Sanctuary there. So I'm going out tomorrow to look at those. The small little orange ones are for a clam restoration project up in the Passamaquoddy tribal land in Pleasant Point, Maine, to float their clam nets off the bottom to keep the green crabs out. So checking in on that in August. Started to grow some larger buoys for the kelp farmers. Okay. So what's so beautiful about oyster and kelp with their complementary seasons, and often many oyster farmers are doing both now. So I'd like to service all of those. And then these are the newer cylinders that we grew this year for Abby's traps. Here's delivery day up to Abby's Farm, Diora Oyster Company. And it was just heartbreaking because I treated these things like my babies, right? Wait, when you move them from this rack, we will handle them, I think, 13 times. So they really are crafted like my grandmother's buoys. These are really artisanal crafted buoys. We've got a scale-up company in England working on scaling right now. But her interns were just throwing them in the boat, throwing them on the dock, and throwing them in the truck. And I'm like, so, wait, look like our living things. Anyway, these are deployed buoys in Islesboro now, and the other one on the left is at Perking. No, where am I? No, that's up at the Downey Institute. They had a group of kids from the Bronx all the way up in Beals, Maine, and they just launched the event up there. So much better results so far this year. We are trying some of the flat buoys on the mesh bags down here. You can see some of these are the flat ones. They seem to be working okay. And then these are some of the members of my team. We are all non-paid people right now, but these are Bobby Lamont, who you know. Bobby and I, let's see how we, so we're seven at Swimming Fire. I introduced me to Bobby, who swam with her mother in the Charles River, with the Charles River Conservancy. And then, of course, she reaches out to me, and I go, Lamont, North Haven, you've got to be in North Haven, Lamont. Of course I am. So Bobby and I grew up together on North Haven. We just didn't know each other. Katie Weiler is founder of Vital Here, an awesome company doing making kelp line to grow for the spat, for kelp seedlings, or oyster spat, and also kelp seeding with a 99% kelp twine. And she's working on bait bags and other applications of that, and netting for selling oysters. Deb Fox is my friend from high school. We've done a lot of things together. She's out in Nantucket. I'm visiting her tomorrow. And then Abby, I've mentioned several times. And then Dana Morris is one of the Sea Grant researchers at Inwall Valley Center. So he's advising on my grant. And then I want to just end with what comes next, right? So there's obviously obstacles I'm facing here, and that's the coding to prolong the life of these buoys. There's another story pathway forward there that I can only go back to the original slide. So what if, in our busy, crazy world where we have had linear economic growth forever, right? We just keep talking about economic growth. We have a finite plan. There's only X number of molecules. They're the same molecules that have been going around. All right. So that model is not true to what life is on the planet. So we now have a new term coined, circular economy, right? Cradle to cradle. Our products have to fit within the ecological cycles, right? So that's paramount. And that's going to take a huge shift, especially among the BC people, right? Because they're used to the profits and the growth and the forever. But that forever line creates a huge waste stream, and we're dealing with that waste stream all over the planet right now. The ocean being one of the biggest dumping grounds historically. Like, pollution is the solution to pollution. I grew up with that. We had straight pipes into the ocean from the house. We dumped our glass and sunk our cans, and how we got rid of our waste. When I was a kid, throw out the boat. Break the bottles, sink the cans. Okay, so that has to end. And we have to think in terms of the cycles on Earth. So the product has to come from the Earth and be borrowed and then returned. And so that those same molecules go back into the system. Right? Otherwise, we are depleting, right? We're seeing desertification, temperatures, on. So what if we purposely design such that this is a one-season product? I know it can last 5 months in the ocean. We don't need a coating on it. That's just going to drive the price down. If I can get it to last 5 months in the ocean, at the end of the season, I will buy it back from you. And why do I want to buy it back from you? Because it's beautifully biovalued. That's nutrition. How much do we pay for algal fertilizer? You're working with that right now. So animal feed. So we pay for algae and all this nutrient stuff to fertilize again. This is like taking hemp, very nutritious, fungi, very nutritious, also able to capture more nutrition, and then algae and some tunicates and some sea spores, whatever else is on there, and that becomes our grow faster. Now, I haven't tested that piece of the puzzle. I know it's releasing those two things, but what if, right? What if this all fits together beautifully? So that is my ideal business plan. And it would be to keep it regionally based so that this is simple. People buy a bag of substrate, they can grow their own shapes if they want, or we provide the shapes, or they build their own kits, or they build their own cedar cages, and keep it local within communities to employ people in communities and keep it circulating locally without the carbon footprint of transportation. Okay, so these are the large kelp buoy, which we grew 4 different pieces there you see on the right, and then you just put them together under compression in a humid environment, and it grows together, so there's no glue. I did have to seal that one with a little silicone because the seams were slightly different than earlier ones, but here's one. Here's the one where this was 2 restaurant stainless steel bowls that I used and drilled holes in them, and then we grew them and then threw them together. So it's self-sealing, self-healing material. But then what I'm really, really excited about now, so all these are here for you to touch and feel and lift. This one, extremely light, hollow, filled the cavity, grew it separately, grew these little end caps in some soup cups, and then after 5 days, took it all apart, married the soup cup in here, shoved it in there, put it back in the humidity tent, and it just grew all together. So it took 2 women sitting on this to get it to run the line. This one was grown in a flower pot. It's fun. You just go rummaging. And kids love doing this. It's like, oh, bring in your stuff, you know, from your house. But this is what I'm most excited about. So there you see it up on the left. This goes back to my college buddy, Paul Lundberg, who just retired from his board. I said, Paul, I need you to design a frame. There's an octagonal that comes apart so I can wash it. Beautifully done, fits together, snaps together. And we grew a micro restoration raft. So this is it. This was another project I worked on while I incubated with Kings County and Puget Sound in Washington State, where they wanted a raft to float marsh vegetation, mature marsh vegetation that they rolled out on a coconut coir mat. And we knew this stuff lasted the 5 months, and so we sent out a bunch of rafts. My first ones were 4 by 8 foot sheets, and we knew, he said they had to support 50 pounds, so we tested it. We broke through the ice from the Mohawk River in January and tested the raft. It held the 50 pounds, it can hold way more than that. And it worked beautifully. So in the 5 months, as this is floating, the rhizomes and roots of the marsh plants are growing right through it, forming their own floating mat eventually. And in that time, this is helping to feed those plants, which I didn't know at the time, but now I do. And it also will eventually disappear. If you look at the people doing floating wetlands today, I've talked about 5 companies lately, they are all involving polyethylene mesh to hold material together, or they're putting a lot of wood and plastic in the substructure of the floating wetland. The Chicago River, the Charles River, all that stuff is happening there. This system has no plastic. So we grew in bamboo rings, so the fungus has grabbed onto these bamboo rings tightly, and this serves as points to attach hexagons together to create a large format of wetland restoration, also to anchor it to the bottom. So that was one problem we had to solve, we just solved it. So feel free to come up and look at this. I just was on a phone call yesterday where I'm going to try to plug these into some existing wetland restoration projects all the way from Long Island up to if you know of any of those going on or involved with any of those, I'd love to hear from you and would love to increase testing on the water again. But this, I know, I don't be a coating, it's simple to grow. It might be a really, and we know we have sea levels rising and coastal erosion, here more than anywhere, right? Happening quickly. So this is something that's needed. So that's all I have to say, and then we have a good 25 minutes for your questions and you come up with the field material. And go from there. So thank you for your attention. Yeah.
So are the buoys alive?
Great question. If we solar dry them, yes. So you do need a heat cycle to actually kill my things that won't reanimate. So these are really resistant cells, right? In the soil, they last a long time. So all very comparable to styrofoam, because we had incubated, we pivoted during the recession in 27 and 29 to making styrofoam packaging replacement, protective packaging replacement. And now that's all being made in Europe, but it's been made in California, it's been made in Iowa, and it's been made in Detroit, New York too. So that's a great product. This is an example of it. This is Cameron Diaz's probiotic packaging. Got to have the movie stars in there. So this is a little travel bottle that you put your probiotic pills in, and this is the bottle with the. So this is to replace styrofoam packaging. You just compost it in your garden. And we were too early. We started this in 2007. Just couldn't get entry because we didn't know about. Well, we did know about plastics in the ocean, but it wasn't popular knowledge then. Okay? So now it's a much bigger product. Yeah.
Is there any progress on this government intervention, like making either incentives or laws or something to pressure, I don't know, say styrofoam out of the packaging marketplace?
Great question, Will. I just had a paper published in the Policy Review on this issue. So the two big policy pieces of this are fossil fuel subsidies. Right? So as long as we keep subsidizing fossil fuels, we keep subsidizing plastic, why it's cheap, right? Why it's hard for me to compete with it. And we need to shift those subsidies for things like hemp and mycelium, right? And then the second piece is extended producer responsibility legislation. So we have EPR for motor oil, we have EPR for bottles, but we don't have EPR for most manufactured products. Okay, so the European Union last year just agreed on legislation to require EPR for all fishing gear by 2025, January 1, 2025. That is coming out soon. So all of that fishing gear sold in Europe is going to have to be responsible for its end life. That is going to be expensive. I don't have any cost for end life. Let's go back into nature. So those two things, subsidy shift and no end cost, this will be very cheap soon.
It seems to me like it would require a lot of scaling, but getting it down to the simplest decision for a lobster fisherman, X amount per year per buoy. We'll drop them off, we'll pick them up. That's it. And then we take the leftovers, grind them up, and sell them as garden mulch. Maybe get a little money back.
And the other legislation is on the other side of the ocean in the Pacific. So Korea has banned, the Ministry of Ocean and Fisheries has banned styrofoam buoys for oyster fishery as of 2019, given them until 2025, January 1, to get it out. The government subsidized R&D for replacements to the tune of 70% since 2019. And their current version is basically a beer keg. It's an aluminum keg, which is what they're using, and buying it back as a rebate to melt it down again. But aluminum and salt water don't go together, as you probably all know. So it's a temporary solution. They're still looking for one. I grew that shape back in 2015. That was when I left incubator in 2016. I said, please ship this to my buddy in Korea. They want to coat it with the soy paint and then put it out on the oyster front and in erection. So, but I'm still hopeful that that big shed can replace all those styrofoam buoys that you saw on that early slide. Yeah, so those are the policy pieces. And then we have the UN Plastic Treaty coming up 2025. So that will be dictating a lot of what's going on. All of this, I feel like we're just spreading the crest away here. Those changes are coming a little bit faster. The United States is behind, as usual, but we're right there ready to go in.
How long would it take to grow like one of those larger restoration nets?
These things?
Yeah.
So this was, I gave it 7 days, flipped it, gave it another 5 days, and done.
And forgetting all the beneficial policies coming down the pipe, which will be huge, but today, if I'm a lobsterman, what's more cost effective? To go to Hamilton Marine and buy the
Oh, yeah, there's no question. I'm not even trying to get into lobsters, because one, the impact of a lobster being thrown, I mean, I know what that looks like. I grew up with it, right? Haul the trap, you throw the buoy behind your shoulder, it crashes on the deck, and it bangs around, and it goes flying off the boat when you push the trap in, right? So the impact, this is not impact proof enough for lobsters. So I'm just growing these for demonstration purposes to do with kids, and then these people are saying they can use them for help transects. So people who are doing research are using to mark their transect lines, or to just put out spat lines for a couple of weeks. Yeah, and you know, I'm taking some of these to my daughter's new house where she has a pool. I'm going to string them across for the 4-year-old who can't get in deep end yet. So, yeah. You know, these are all the early shapes that I grew. Here's one that's completely uncoated. This is the fungus's natural skin here, this dark color. If I let it grow longer, it'll get more and more skin. That's more. You think about fungi, they're shaped like umbrellas, right? They waterproof themselves. The water rolls off. So we're just exploiting that property. These buoys were grown to have separately, put together on a kebab under pressure, and then grown together, and then I just sanded the seams on a boat sander. But they're really nice little net boats. These are grown in a PVC pipe. And this is sushi wrap buoy. So we tried everything. We tried all the plant waxes. We tried everything. I need more chemistry. I need a chemist to really start messing around with emulsifiers in plant waxes to make them more cushiony and impact resistant. But we took just some noise sheets and heated them up on the gas burner and then just wrapped the buoy and it shrunk that around the time. It was kind of brittle. Yeah, we tried everything.
You know, it's kind of neat, is I think across the coast, certainly Rhode Island, there's this sort of social license, social care and capacity issues. So our coasts are, you know, especially in Rhode Island, we're a coastal state, a lot of coastal homeowners or businesses, there's concern over the visual impacts of aquaculture, and so we've been kind of at a stall in terms of aquaculture growth, I think, in Rhode Island.
Okay.
Because of that, you know, Maine and other states face similar, how do we coexist? So there's, and visual is a big piece of that. So when I think of your products, so even if we're bottom plant or we have bottom cages, there's still some buoys involved and for kelp. It has to be, so there's some visual presence, and like even the kelp wrap, like that's a blend. It'll blend really nicely with the marine environment. So I think that's like an added piece as aquaculture tries to grow, but in a really busy coastline where there is opposition, you know, because of visual impact. So that's something really exciting. And I also know, I love the fact that you can make like the floats for the bottom cages where that's adjustable, because we sink our buoys in our cages in the winter, and then we float them, and it's a ton of work.
To get out.
Yeah, and it's just, it's fine, but it would be nice to have something that was not plastic, used PVC. Be nice to replace the third one, because every little bit counts if you're sanding it. So, but I think the visual impact is another piece that could really strike a chord with growing farms.
So our first product might be this. Little cherry on the top. So the high school kids at my local high school, their science teacher, their environmental science teacher is a phenom. My daughter went into that class years ago. She came home the first day and she said, "Mom, the teacher wrote the book. The teacher wrote the textbook. I'm in the class where the teacher wrote the book." She was so excited. So the same teacher, he's retiring in December, and his kids came and got the chair like 5 or 6 times. They made their own shapes and grew a bridge for an architectural competition, right? So they just kept going with the buoy idea, and then they ended up cutting ping pong balls in half and making fishing bobbers. And so you know how many of the plastic fishing bobbers are usually white and red, get caught in trees all over the place. And so he's retiring, so he and I are on a venture to start small. Fishing bobbers. But you can't tell that to anybody.
So what do you use for the printing? What's the material that you
Oh,
use to
so
print on?
I'm so excited about my thing. So last year I had lots of people steal my stuff, including high school students that I could have had a lawsuit with them, but I didn't. I used it as a teaching moment with the principal. Anyway, yeah, that's a long story. I'm so generous because I'm a teacher, right? So I just give out information, including to incubative guys, and didn't get a piece of the puzzle from myself, but that's okay. So we just went and used stenciling from like, you know, a stencil company, right? And I had them make the stencil for me. So it was just stenciling.
But is it like a special
soy.
ink, a biodegradable ink?
It was just soy.
Oh, soy.
Yeah, soy, yeah. But this time it's like, I am making
Now
sure.
you know. With that
Well, the other thing that just happened, I was at the Maine Fish and Oyster Festival last weekend, and Abby Barrows has a new film out in Patagonia called The Way We Were. It's a great film about her whole history and operation. MycoBouys are featured throughout the movie. So I said to the filmmaker at the end, just that I wear this on my hip when I do things. I just tighten my belt and I just wear it. So it's kind of funny to just go, see what I'm doing? So I had one of these, I had the white one with the name on it, and I just showed it to the filmmaker, and I said, yeah, I'm branding myself now, so it doesn't show up in the film. I'm branded and uncredited. And he went, you're right. So, yeah. Yeah.
You mentioned there was a company in England, I think, or the UK that was working on scaling up.
Yeah.
What's their agreement?
So they are a licensee of Ecovative. So Ecovative is really the only mushroom material company in the world, and with the patent. And so they, because this low tech is moving much faster in Europe, have about 30 licensees there. This company is one of them. And then because things are going so well, they just retracted all those licenses and said, you're on your own, you don't need to pay us any royalties, you don't need nothing. So they just pull out all completely for goodness of the earth. And soon we'll do that. So I have a license with Ecovative to make these, and they are being very helpful now. The two founders who I started, they were 21, and I was in my 50s, and I am not going to be a mother around here. I am not mothering any more kids, and they call me their mom to this day. Anyway, we are still on very good terms, and they're being very helpful in greasing the wheels for me now. Taking out of retirement to do this.
So what's the scaling company doing? I mean, how are they gonna,
So
this
they-
big scaling and marketing?
So I sent them some of my tooling, and I sent them some of the ones we finished, and they're replicating that, and they're using, they've got their research team working on making it even lighter and less dense and less glossy. There's some other material added in there. I don't know what that is yet. We have disclosed that, and we're working on an agreement where I consult for them. And they are telling me right now they can make this competitive with styrofoam, with the foam buoys. So I haven't seen the numbers exactly, but if we can do that, and they're also very, very willing to do a buyback program, and they're opening a new facility in the United States this year. So
Okay, so this is getting real then.
yeah, it's getting there.
That's good.
Are you selling any now, or are you still?
No, I've had a few people in the last couple of days. A guy from Martha's Vineyard just reached out to me yesterday and wants to buy some, and he's got grant money, and I said, no, I'm just going to give you them because I'm using a grant for this right now. So he's going to do some of the toggle buoys, these little ones that he's using for something really different. I've lost it since yesterday. Anyway, yeah, so that'll be a nice connection there. But no, we're not signing. I'm taking pre-orders on my website for next year. So we're hoping to get a pilot program funded with the scale buoys from England to get them out for farmers next year. And it would be an incentive thing. You would pay something for it, and then there'd be an incentivized rebate or something to get it going to the market.
And did you just show us that Cameron Diaz packaging just to show that it could be used for other things, or are you?
Oh, totally, yeah, no, so mushroom, this is another whole story,
Yeah.
right, that I'm very involved in. So mushroom packaging to replace styrofoam protection packaging. Everybody hates getting whatever their thing is in the mail with the styrofoam, right? What do you do with the stuff? There is a little bit of research working on microbes to break styrofoam down, but for real. So the more companies you can ask, like we try to get Amazon. You know, so Paul Stannis, if you know him, the guy in Passion for everybody, I know Paul from 40 years ago. And we had a collaboration with him trying to work out where he was making a life box. So you take a cardboard box and you would plant the three sister seeds in coordinations because he calculated how many cardboard boxes get shipped around the world every day. It's a giant lump number. And you take the three sister seeds in there and then use our packaging for the packaging material, and then you just plant the whole damn thing and grow fruit. And he showed examples of people planting in old toilets and all kinds of things. So it just helped feed the world that way. It you know, this is not hard to think about, right? We just need to do it.
Well, I think just in this conversation, you sparked, I mean, one idea has led to another, where whether it's the swimming pool row, or the packaging, or the fishing bob, or whatever, this could be so huge. But how do you not get distracted by all of those other possibilities? Are you just staying with Boobies?
What I would like to, I see my role is for the future is to be the mentor, advisor, and then have this for independent. I don't want to work a 9 to 5 job. I mean, I did all this year. It's like, I don't want to work a 9 to 5 anymore, and I love the science, and I have a passion, and I love teaching. So my role would be to be a consultant, mentee, advisor, whatever, mentor, advisor to as many people that want to get involved in doing anything. We know they're going to save the planet, right? I didn't show you. Yeah, the list keeps going, Molly. So, you know, working with a whole bunch of engineers, so there were like 9 biologists and like 25 engineers that you created, and they're wonderful people, but their idea is you just keep iterating, make mistakes, you don't document anything. I had to teach them how to do a science experiment, how to make notes, how to record results, so you can repeat the same mistake. Anyway, it was fun. It was a really fun place. But I also had to teach them what a mold sport looks like and how you design around. If you don't build us tooling or machinery, they built beautifully automated machinery, unbelievable stuff, huge. If you go to the website, they can see their bacon farm right now, massive, 74,000 square feet, 11 stories high, making mushroom bacon out of this material, which I'm passing around. This is pure mycelium, which is a frigging miracle. I worked alongside 2 women who worked through 8 years of BTT grants to get that to happen. To get the mycelium to grow off the substrate was a miracle. And now they're growing 38 feet wide, 5 feet wide, 3 inches thick, sheet, 11 stories high, times 7,000 square feet. And it's being made into bacon, and then another species is being used to make leather. So this is mushroom leather, just mushroom mycelium, being used by the company Echo, in Europe to make their shoes right now. And of course, Stella McCartney made a purse that's in the Victoria and Albert Museum from the first one. Then we have, and then this is mushroom wood. So this is compressed, take Cameron Diaz and compress that to this under 2 temperatures that melt the beta-glucans in here at 2 different thresholds. And you get cardboard with no urea formaldehyde in it. So the EPA banned, California banned your urea formaldehyde in particle board a decade ago because we had this product on the market, or soon to be on the market. It died. We had IKEA on the line for this. And that's another whole story. Sad one that I can tell you if you want. But I'm not
So
going to
does this
broadcast
stuff
it.
last?
This stuff,
Does this last, I mean, you were saying that these are 5 months and they disappear.
oh, this is going to last. We grew a tiny house that's still 10 years later sitting in front of us. We grew
A tiny house?
We grew the tiny house. So it was 1x6 or 1x4 pine roof for the walls, 2 cavities, a thick cavity, fill it up with 1.5 foot of material, let it grow for 3 days, another tier, through the roof, and then the ceiling tiles are basically like these boards, and then the flooring.
So the reason why the buoys only last five months is because it's the ocean, right?
So you put this stuff in contact with water, like any wood or organic material, and over time it's going to get moldy and start to rot, right? Other fungi will come and rot. So it has to be sealed if you're going to use it. But there's some very interesting architecture coming out of Europe right now.
I was at a design school in Paris a few years ago, and there's a lot of like the mushroom leather stuff is really taking off over there. There was an old abandoned like firehouse in Paris where they just turned into a bunch of offices for like sustainable fashion companies. There were a bunch
has become, right to the top, Shelley Pingrich just sponsored legislation in Congress about the carbon footprint of fashion and the toxicity of fashion. So, yeah, exactly. This is happening in fashion as
I
well.
have a tray that's a tray that we made in like the sustainable systems class. It's cool to see because it's all about everyone wants to do the big next thing and they're like innovation, but it means they're getting into this.
Yeah, yeah. Incubator cell that can still go sell a DIY kit, right? Dehydrated material just gets the DIY.
How much is it? How much substrate do you have to put in to make something that's
So this one
how
took,
much does it grow?
this
What
one,
percent?
yeah, so you start with 1% fungus, you get up to 25% biomass of the fungus. So as it's decomposing the hemp, it's converting itself into fungal tissue, which is lighter and stronger, right? So this one had 7.5 bags in it. So if you have bags were 8.5 pounds, by the time I use them up, they start at 10 pounds. By the time I use them, they're 8.5 pounds. So 50 to 60 pounds of material went into this, and it's 66% moisture content. And so it's wet material, right? So the water's a lot of it. I don't know what this weighs right now, but it's not more than 20 pounds. 25. Yeah. And the beauty about fungal tissue is you just need to go in the woods and get a little piece of mushroom and install it.
Would it be too much to ask what happened with IKEA? I mean,
I was not there, that's what happened. Had I been in the room, it would have not happened. That message is, in all your tables, at every table today, there needs to be an ecologist involved in the decision making who really understands the carbon cycle, the nitrogen cycle, the water cycle, who really understands how life works on the planet. That's my big advertisement. So at the IKEA meeting, I mean, we were well along to them using our packaging first and then making the furniture with the wood. Our team missed one paper in the literature, and their team found it. And that one paper said that you could use starch and end up as the binder instead of mycelium, and end up with the same physical restraining properties. Now, had I been at the table, I would have said, yes, but what is starch? Starch is a polymer of glucose that we can digest. That is food. Why would you take food out of the production system to make flooring or furniture when you can use mycelium that we can't digest? That would have been my question. And I think it would have made people stop and think.
right.
But instead, people without that knowledge said, oh, gee, too bad. I mean, it was, I can't tell you how much time it was, but it was just a really bad day. And that happened over and over and over and over and over again, where we contracted with Sealed Air that makes bubble wrap, right? And they wanted to, my brother said, they're going to just fly you and bury you, so don't go there. And I said, no, we have really good escape clauses. I think it's okay. The lawyers worked out the contracts. And we moved big equipment that our engineers had built for automating this whole system of packaging, all the way from Troy to Cedar Rapids, Iowa, to one of Sealed Air's plants. And in 3 years it failed because it was a Superfund site. The town hated Sealed Air. No one did that due diligence research. No one looked at the fact that there were dead birds all over this facility. Like, had a biologist, ecologist been there, it would have been like, I can feel the energy here or whatever, it's just not living energy. And so they struggled and they struggled. They couldn't get people to work there. They couldn't train the people to work there. The whole thing was just a negative place. And just another small example of, you have to have the right players on the team. You can't just jump in there, especially when you're doing living things. I mean, living things are variable. Every time you grow this, it is different. Right? It responds to everything around it. So it's not a sure bet. And you have to be able to know what's happening at the moment. And there were plenty of days where I inspected everything every day, and I had to make adjustments. Right? So, all right, we're past time.
Well, so you certainly made us stop and think today. I mean, it's incredible what you're doing, not only what you're creating, but the impact, potential impact for the world. So thank you for taking the time to share your expertise, your knowledge, and your story with us.
Thank you for
Best of luck.
inviting me and
Stay in
doing
touch.
it. Yeah.
How can people follow up with you?
So my cards are up here. It's just SueVanHook@gmail or MycoBouys.com. I have brochures if you want to take anything to show anybody else. Help yourself, and I'd love to have you come and feel the stuff.
Awesome. Thank you.